Connor, can you text me the live stream link and then I'll share that on Facebook, or if you want to also share that on.
Okay.
Actually, I take that back. I have it.
Because it's not showing on
I
the
don't know if it'll be.
on our page. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I see it now.
Um, I just got a text from.
Because it's not showing on
I
the
don't know if it'll be.
on our page.
The live stream's not showing on our page.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, I see it now.
Um, I just got a text from.
Because it's not showing on
I
the
don't know if
Sorry, that
our
was for
page.
me. That was for me. Sorry.
the live stream's not showing on our page.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, I see it now.
Um, I just got a text from.
Because it's not showing on the
Sorry, that
our
was for
page.
me. That was for me. Sorry.
The live stream's not showing on our page.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, I see it now.
Um, I just got. There it is. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing great. Hey, let me introduce you real quick to my co-host, Connor
Sure.
Quinn and Anthony Paul. This is
What's up, Chris? How you doing?
You're good. How about yourself?
Good. Thanks for coming on.
Hey,
Nice.
Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
yeah, it's a treat. We just hit our 20,000 mark, so this is growing pretty quick. We just started on the 8th of last month, started airing these. So yeah, it's been fun.
Wow, nice. 20,000. That's great, man. In a short amount of time.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Good retention. So I'm gonna
Oh, you might raise your audio a little bit. It would seem to diminish a little bit.
thanks. Is that better?
Mucho better.
Excellent.
I
All
don't
right.
speak German, but I thought I'd say mucho.
Well, we're live streaming. Connor, do we have anybody watching us yet?
Not Yes, we have one person in the room.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, let me get this party started. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of From Hollywood to the Heartland. Today we have the pleasure of welcoming an actor whose versatility and talent has graced both the big and small screens. Chris Warner starred in films like No Country for Old Men and Sin City, and soon you'll catch him alongside Billy Bob Thornton in Taylor Sheridan's highly anticipated new show Landman, premiering November 17th on Paramount Plus. But that's just one part of his incredible career. He's also a writer, producer, and entrepreneur who's proving that you don't need to live in Hollywood to make an impact in the entertainment industry. From his work on short form series Assassins Guild of America to founding his new business, Me Likeable, Chris continues to blaze a unique path. We're excited to dive into all of this today. Please welcome Chris Warner. Chris, how you doing? Thank you for coming.
No, thank you for having me, Bo. I appreciate you guys, Connor, Anthony. I'm glad to be here, man. From Hollywood to the Heartland.
Yeah,
Yes.
we will.
I've lived it, so I know exactly what you guys are getting after. So it'd be fun to talk about, definitely.
Well, I don't know if you know our background. I grew up in Malibu, California, and then, did the acting thing out there. And then I was a news guy. So I moved out of LA and ended up in Wichita, Kansas. And I'll let Connor tell you his LA story too.
Okay.
Yeah, just real quick. Yeah, I was born in New Mexico, but I became a child actor for TV and film in the 70s. So when I was 6 years old, and so I'm right around your age, Chris. I'm about 35, somewhere around there. And then about teenage years, I moved to transition full-time voiceover and doing, animation, video games, and millions of commercials. So I've just been doing that. And so I've been out in Oklahoma about 10 years because life's better here. There's no traffic.
Yeah, and I live in Wichita, Kansas. So, but now, are you in LA? Or are you in Texas? That's what we weren't sure of.
Yeah, actually about a year and a half ago, my wife and I made the decision. My dad health had started to get a little, janky a little bit, and he needed me back here. So we decided to make Austin, Texas. That's where I'm from Texas, and I'm
Okay.
from Austin to LA. So we decided to make it kind of the new home base. I still go back and forth to LA, and still do some stuff out there. Still have my agent there and everything else. I take some meetings out there every once in a while, but we kind of made Austin our new home base, mainly because my dad needed me back home and closer to him. So he lives about an hour and a half north of us here in Austin. And actually the place I grew up in, Killeen, Texas, is where I grew up and graduated from high school. So,
Oh,
Did
okay.
you live in LA for a while then?
yeah, I lived there 23 years. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
What
Yes,
part?
sir. What part? Well, I initially moved to Westbourne in West Hollywood for the first year. The next 10 years, I lived in Hollywood proper off Whitley and Franklin. Then after that, I moved over to the Valley into Studio City right there in Tahunga Village.
Okay.
And then the
Okay.
last 5 years or so in Valley Village, just north of Studio City. So
Gotcha.
okay.
Yeah.
I lived in the West Side and in the Valley both.
Cool.
Yeah, I graduated from Cal State Northridge, so I know the Valley well.
Yes. So
Last time we talked,
LA is a tough place to live.
it's hard nut to crack. Yes, sir. I guarantee you that. As too many people in one place is what I
Yeah.
do most days. And it's nice to be back home, not only because it's home, but there's some more room here in Texas. There's a little elbow space. And yeah, so and Hollywood has gotten smaller, especially with COVID and Zoom and everything we're doing right now, you and I. Last time I was on a audition in person was about 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
The audition I do is on tape now, and they cast us off tape, and that's just how it's done.
I've actually got an agent in Austin, so
Oh, is that right?
yeah. Yeah.
well, in that community, it's become quite huge. I mean, I know Joe Rogan's out there. There's a lot of people from LA that have moved out to your area, haven't they?
Yeah, Joe Rogan lives here. Vanderbeek lives here. Tim Ferriss lives here. I know he's not an actor necessarily, but yeah, there's quite a few folks who've lived here or moved from LA or the West Coast here.
Housing
Because,
markets.
again, if you want to get practical about it, the dollar does spend more, longer, better here.
Yeah.
Although all those years that I lived in California, I did have my Texan friends kept hitting me up on my socials saying, "Hey man, quit sending Californians here. I don't want you California in my Texas, so to speak."
Yeah.
Right.
But Austin's a different place than when I moved away. It is a lot bigger, a lot more bustle. There's a lot more here, a lot more folks, a lot more going on, which is good, in one sense. But what I hope doesn't happen is Austin turns into LA, because again, one of the things that happened out there was too many folks in one place. So
Is Texas one of those states like as we mentioned, Connor lives in Oklahoma. I'm about 2 hours from Oklahoma City. I've been in about 3 SAG movies in Oklahoma. Is Texas one of those states that has established a good relationship with Hollywood, like Oklahoma, New Mexico, Louisiana, Georgia, where there's just tons of stuff being shot there now?
it's funny, before I left here, it had, the legislature saw the benefits in in giving back the tax breaks and things like that. And I guess right around the time I left, things had started going to Mexico and Louisiana and kind of leaving Texas, because Texas wasn't happy necessarily, from what I'm understanding, with Hollywood in general. Now, some things stayed here. Austin has some things, Dallas has some things, Houston has some things, but things kind of went away when I went to Hollywood, and they've kind of stayed that way.
Yeah.
Of course, Atlanta's done what Atlanta's done over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Things have come back this way. And to tell you the truth, guys, I shot an indie here back in 2019 called Writer's Block, and it was written and directed and produced by local guys here. and getting in the finger on the pulse then, when I was still in LA, about how things went and how people had left and crew had left and everything else. And it made me sad, so much so that when I got back here, there's a whisper in my ear to be the guy who could possibly be the liaison between Hollywood and Texas, because I know both of them, and
Yeah.
to a table and go, look, act like grown people so we can make some money together. We can create some art together and stop getting angry about things that don't need to be getting angry about, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see that come back around.
Because Oklahoma has just blown up.
Mhm.
I mean, I
Yeah.
was in that movie Reagan was shot there.
Mhm.
Killers of the Flower Moon was shot there. Twisters,
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff. And, and then I've met some people on the cruise from LA, and when they come to Oklahoma and see what they can buy for their dollar, they're
Mhm.
like, why am I living in LA when I can buy a house for $150,000?
That's right.
Yeah, and they can make they can make Texas, Oklahoma, anything. They can also make it their home base too. I mean, again, because the world's so small, we can travel so easily, we can communicate like this so easily. You don't have to live in LA.
No.
It,
That's what we talk about on the podcast because, Anthony and myself, I do voiceovers all over the world for my studio here in Oklahoma City. And, occasionally have to go out and to a, in-person studio for some of the larger projects. But for the most part, no, you don't have to be in one of the coastal cities to succeed in this business.
Yeah.
no, so yeah, and then voiceover is another one. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just agreeing with.
No, I was going to say Reagan was my last in-person audition. That was March of 2020, 2 weeks before COVID hit. But I love the convenience of the at-home audition, but I wanted to ask you this. I do miss getting direction from a casting director too in a more one-on-one type setting because when you're doing it yourself, you're going on your own direction, and I don't know. It's definitely convenient, but I do miss some of that interaction with a casting director. What do you feel that way?
Absolutely, I do. I think the biggest thing that you got the chance to do as an actor in the room is allow them to feel who you are.
Yeah,
Whether it's 30 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever amount of time, in my opinion, you create for yourself is the time they get to know who you are, Chris Warner, Anthony Powell. What I mean by that is if you're on the borderline and they're like, we really like this guy, we'd like to hang out with him for the day. This guy was kind of himself, not approachable. There was something weird about him, something like that. You get to kind of break that barrier when you're in person. You don't get to
totally.
on camera. You don't when you're doing now, you slate, that's it. Actually, I've had one casting director here in Texas, and I've known her for 25 years. She actually opens up and says, hey, hop on board, tell me about yourself, what you're about, things like that. This isn't going to be sent to the director. I'm going to read it for myself. Well, she knows me personally, but I still do it just for practice. So yeah, I miss the ability to communicate and have the humanity in the room, if you will, with the casting director, get the redirect if I'm not doing something right. But yeah, really the connection I enjoy because I feel like that's what we do as artists is we bring the thing that people pay to see. And if they don't get to feel it in person, our chances of booking that gig go down tremendously, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, the thing I like about it, on tape though, is usually you're going to give them your best take because you get a chance to work those out.
great point. Great point. Yeah,
But
the nerves are diminished a little bit when you're at home.
yeah, you get to
Yeah,
drop those down a little bit.
yeah,
I make sure at home now I stay off book. I don't even have the script with me. Right now I'm working on I'm working on 5 pages of dialogue that's due tomorrow night. And I'm going to do my damnedest to stay off book because I feel like when in person, I think you get leeway. If you're on tape on book, I think it takes you out of it because you got to come up from the page and the energy's already low because you're not in the room. So I do my best to stay off book when I'm on tape now.
you ever
So
put it on a teleprompter?
I have once or twice. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did one. I auditioned for the character of Sweet Tooth in that Anthony Mackie show on Peacock, where the guy's hair is on fire. I think they ended up hiring a professional wrestler for that. But there were 10 pages of dialogue I had to get through that and I had to chunk it down. It was it was it was a lot
Wow.
to do. But he's one of the lead, he's one of the characters the ensemble characters in the show. So they want to make sure they're going to cast the person right. So,
Hey,
but
Bo,
I
sorry,
saw you.
I've been talking forever. Go ahead.
Last time I saw you, Chris, you just got done with Nicolas Cage and Willie's World. Now, when you and I just reconnected, you told me that you were working on Landman, which is coming out, and working with Billy Bob Thornton, and actually sent me a photo. How did you get that opportunity? How did that come about?
well, like Anthony, I actually have my original agent here in Austin. I've stayed with him for 25 years. So some of the opportunities on my resume I've gotten back through Texas. And actually, that was a local hire here that Taylor shoots a lot of his stuff in Fort Worth because he lives outside of Fort Worth and he wants to make sure that he's home every night when he shoots. So that was shot just southwest of Fort Worth. Just like 1883 I was in, I shot that outside of Fort Worth as well. So I actually got the call from my local agent, my Austin agent for that. And
Hmm.
I think it was the second or third read I had for that show. I'd read for it a couple times, different characters. So,
Now,
uh,
Sheridan's known for his compelling characters and storytelling, right?
oh
So
yeah, he's got
is
some
that
stuff, man. He definitely gets into the nitty gritty of kind of the heartland, if you will, what you guys are talking about. He appreciates what that's about. If you want to put it that way, kind of the man's man story of the trials and tribulations of what they want to put on their shoulders and carry across, land, miles of land or life, if you will. So I appreciate the way he kind of gets and layers his storylines. Yeah, he's a different dude. He's one of a kind. I'm glad he's from Texas. He's kind of repping us like that, and it's very cool that he's kind of kept his train going. He wasn't a one hit wonder. I mean, he's putting show out after show out after show out. Now he doesn't write all of them, obviously, but his fingerprints are on all these shows. You can definitely tell based on the material that he has. Say Tulsa Kings, didn't write that one. It was more from the guy I think who was a part creator in The Sopranos, but he definitely has the Tulsa part in it, the Heartland part, not so much the New York City part. But no, it's great to see a local boy, if you will, kind of make it big. He's from a little place called Cranfell's Gap, and one of my buddies way back when a little place just northwest of Austin or northwest of Waco. Six-man football is the way you identify it. So it was a very, very little town. But no, he made it out, and he's definitely made a name for himself. And I'll tell you what, guys, I say this is one of my sayings: you never meet a champion without an edge. And Taylor Sheridan definitely has an edge. I like it though; he's got an edge to him, and I really like it.
Yeah, I've seen him
prepared for it?
interviewed on I think it was CBS Sunday Morning. Yeah, he's an impressive guy for sure. Yeah,
Coming from
I
Texas to
auditioned
help.
I auditioned for Tulsa Kings too.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
shooting in Oklahoma City now, right? I think.
yeah. Or well, Tulsa
Tulsa.
actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I was going
So,
to ask
oh,
real
go
quick.
ahead. Sorry, Bo.
Yeah, well, so you play an oil rig tool pusher in this Landman movie,
Mhm.
and just wondering, coming from Texas, if that helped with the character development.
It's funny. My brother-in-law he's a roughneck in the oil fields in West Texas. So I talked to him a little bit about it and watched some of the mannerism. I get online and watch some of these things and talk to some of these guys. You know what? Some study was studying another actor doing something. I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie Stillwater with Matt Damon.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
You know what? I was a little concerned, just like I was concerned when they told him he was Jason Bourne. But you know what? He pulled it off. I mean, he's a guy from Oklahoma. The character's a guy from Oklahoma, and he went and followed this roughneck around for 3 months. And I thought he did a great job with the representation, not of just a roughneck, but somebody from Oklahoma. He didn't do some Hollywood manufactured bullshit accent. Um,
Mhm.
Having the goatee, having the Oakleys above the hat, having the rim like this. I mean, those are all small details, but they actually matter. But I thought actually Matt Damon should have been nominated for an Oscar for that role. Because I mean, I watched him from beginning to end. I thought the movie was well done. I thought it was one of those movies like a good meal. You get done, you're like, man, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Another movie shot in Oklahoma.
yeah, yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah.
But
So you're
Connor, we
diverse.
haven't heard. Well, I was
Oh,
going to toss this over to Connor a little bit. I haven't heard much from him.
yeah.
And you have probably a lot to relate to Chris with.
Yeah, I mean, after working so many years in Hollywood, it was like, it kind of got, at that time I thought it was a daily grind, just driving 2 hours to get to an audition, because in those days we couldn't self-record. We couldn't, I didn't know any voice actor in the 70s that had their own studio, unless they were Tony Bennett or someone. But as far as actors go or voiceovers, that didn't happen. So I was just curious, how has your relationships changed with you, with some of your contacts in LA? Have they strengthened because of that? I know you've talked about the, strenuous of not being in person, but what about your professional and personal relationships after 24 years in LA?
Connor, I can't lie to you, buddy. I'm gonna tell you something I don't tell many people here, and I keep it close to the vest. Is I'm a grindstone kind of guy, and what I mean by that, what may have hurt my career some, I can't go back in time, so I don't know exactly, but what may have hurt my career is I want to do to get out and press the flesh and kiss the babies as much as I probably should have.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go party. I didn't go. I don't care what night of the week it was. I didn't go do that. I went to class some, but I was also a guy that knows that acting coaches, it's a business, right? First
Yeah.
they got to make money, then they got to teach you acting. So you got to watch going to class and making sure it's, to protect your investing, the money that you need to invest in. So my point being is I probably didn't make as many connections out there as I could have, because
Gotcha.
I didn't go above and beyond to a point, because I got real serious about the craft and the art and making things. And then when I did start to spider out in my thinking or my go-gettingness, I started to write for myself. I started producing. So I'm a big fan, and this really made me change my perspective when I moved back to Austin, of what I call building my own fire. My producing and writing partner and I kind of gravitate toward that. What I mean that is, instead of not stop chasing the Hollywood fire, but not be so concerned with it and consumed with it every day that we forget we can stop and make our own fire, because we are creatives. I'm talking about seed.
Yeah.
I can write something, I can shoot, so I produce stuff, I've directed stuff. I can be my own artist without their permission. And so as I got older and more mature, I think instead of going out and reaching out for relationships as an actor toward people who can you please cast me,
Mm-hmm.
a needy actor, if you will, in that case, I think I tried to put that energy toward trying to create things for myself. So in reference to your question, I don't know if I made them better or worse, because I had strategic relationships
Mm-hmm.
and those are still strong, but I probably didn't have as many as I could have,
No,
because
I think that you did the right thing. I think that, I got into LA as a child. So in that era, it was basically your fate was in other people's hands and other businesses' hands. And there was no, unless you were Walt Disney, there was no getting out on your own.
yeah.
Now, of course, you've been in the business a hot minute yourself, but I think when you got to LA, you were older and wiser, and you were able to, I just call it the Garth Brooks way of doing things, the Reba McEntire, the Dolly Parton. I'm going to own my brand, and that's something that we've only been dealing with maybe 10 or 15 years. That idea that I don't have to be Target, I don't have to be Warner Brothers, and I think that for those that are listening to our podcast that are wanting to get in the business or are just in it, that's one less thing you have to worry about, is trying to appease those people that are there, because they're losing power every day, and more of it is coming into our hands. I think you're a great example of that, Chris, because you've been very successful. Your IMDb page is just great to look at. It's it's like a walk down nostalgia lane of things you've done, and you have not done the horrible personal sacrifice. You still have your family to show for that, and your Texas spirit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, that's something I'll start with the end here. That's something I never want to lose. You can hear the twang in my voice. I never wanted to lose that, because this, all you guys have been, well, at least Anthony and Colin, you've been in LA. You
Yeah.
could you could go and see 100 big uglies, rough and ruggeds, whatever you want to call this,
Right.
and we all go in and we all look the same. And as soon as we open our mouths, why do I want to sound like 500 other guys?
That's right. Yeah.
Because here's the thing: when you pay, at least in LA, you pay $18 to see a movie. I want you to move me forward in my seat. I want to go and
Yeah.
talk the next day, if not the next week. If I pay $18 to see vanilla ice cream, I'm going to be pissed off. You should.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
What you want to see is you want to see flavor. And I felt like keeping my twang, sounding like I'm from Texas, gave me a flavor no one else had.
Oh, it does. Absolutely.
I kept that on board. And look at this. I tell people, look at this. 9 times out of 10, this should have never had any kind of IMDb page like it had. But that just goes to prove if you make sure that you're in the right place at the right time and you believe you're supposed to be there, this shit's going.
That's right. Well, me as a child in Hollywood, they were always told, I wanted to eventually, I did my time on Little House on the Prairie and all these other shows, and I was fine when I was thin and good looking as a kid. But as I got older, they were just like, I think voiceover is where it's at because you're not a James Dean, you're not a Paul Newman, and that's why I'm speaking to you as a cartoon. Because Chris, if you saw what I look like, you would run screaming out of the room.
Oh, come on now. Come on
Yeah.
now.
No, I'm serious. Yeah.
No, but Chris, I think what you're saying is, you've been very honest, and I'll be very honest. There's a lot of days where I wake up where I honestly say to myself, I think I would be a lot happier if I wasn't an actor. No, and I'm being honest because it will suck the life out of you. The rejection, the amount of audition hours that you don't get paid for. So I love that you're diversifying. I was reading about your business of helping both business professionals and athletes polish up their on-camera skills. I was a news guy for 20 years. I've obviously spent a lot of time on camera, and it is a skill. I think that's a great business idea, but it sounds like you don't want to put all your eggs into the acting basket and be that needy actor, which to me is the ultimate redundancy, needy actor.
No, I agree with. Hey, Anthony, I will be fully transparent with you. I had been that guy for 23 years. I mean, as I was telling Connor earlier, nose to the grindstone for 23 years in LA. That's all I focused on. And then, when this kind of epiphany happened with my dad and making me pull back to the 30,000 foot mark, so to speak, and reflect. I tell people my eventually's here. I just turned 54, and that's not a Hollywood number. That's the real one. And my eventually's here. So as a 28-year-old actor moving out there, yeah, I had these plans, these things. Hey, I'm gonna be a series regular. I don't have to be the lead. And then in the summers, I can shoot features. And then with that money, I will invest in this. And so I had plans in my head. I've always kind of been business minded in what I was going to do. But when you're on that singular path, the crazy insanity, as you said, Anthony, about being an actor, and when those things when you don't produce the fruit to be able to harvest and then reinvest, well, then you're 54 and you're like, holy shit, we've got to now make some things happen with nitro buttons. We've got to fast forward now with the wisdom we've accumulated, and then with some things I've actually not only need to do but wanted to do in my life, that I'm kind of, as you said, diversifying with using the skills that I have and then marrying it with something I love. I love college football. I love sports in general. So helping athletes in general, because I saw an athlete. What gave me the idea for that is I see these athletes I love, I appreciate, I'm a fan of, and when they bumble and stumble and look away on camera, if you're a star of a team, you're going to be on camera every week. Why don't we make you as good as we can on camera as you are on the field? Because these guys, these ladies, so yeah, it definitely, that interests me a whole bunch. So
yeah, the hardest thing, one of the hardest things about being in TV news, I mean, obviously there was a lot of things, the deadlines, but trying to convince the average person to go on camera was like you were trying to sell them a car. I would say 9 out of 10 people including athletes, are scared to death of it. So yeah, I cringe too when I watch a lot of their interviews, because it's rare that you find a guy that's really polished. So and business people too.
yeah, and with business people, it's sad because we all use social now, especially, or we pay for ads, right? We pay for commercials. If you're an expert CPA and I want you to take care of my money, but you stumble and mumble and look down everything and you can't get or promote your business as an expert, I can't see an expert speaking, I'm probably not going to come to you for my business because you're not relaying the information to me properly the way you do as an expert. So it breaks my heart when these folks say, I can't get business. I don't know if people aren't following me or calling me. I'm like, well, have you seen yourself on camera? I know you post, but have you seen yourself? Because you got to post yourself. Seriously, I'm not being mean here. I just want you to look at it. Just you know, as a newscaster, just a handful of things. If you tweak here and this here, maybe you don't become great at it, but you become good enough that I believe you're the expert that you are. So, so
I always hear the fake it till you make it, but there's a certain amount of wisdom in there. Everybody starts out at the first audition and their first, actual appearance. One of the things I want to kind of transition into, because there's a few nuggets we wanted to cover with you, is this diversification led you to Badass Clothing Line. Also led you to working on a short form series that I want you to talk about in a second. But more important than that, that really ties to what you and Anthony were talking about, is this mindset attitude that you consistently every day post on LinkedIn about, that I love and support, which I hope you notice. I'm always liking and sharing that stuff. But, it's this get out there, stop giving yourself an excuse, go do it, get it done, right? Tell us about that. And how did that come about?
Well, Bo, to be again transparent with you guys, I'm not the Hollywood dude who's going to say something here and then the paparazzi catches me doing something else. To be honest with you, I started my memes a whole bunch a long time ago, all the positive motivational shit for myself. Like when I write my memes every day, I'm talking to Chris Warner first, man, because I need that shit more than anybody else does, tell you the truth.
Amen, brother. You're not alone.
Yeah, but what I do see a lot of is, and I won't put it on, I have to say it, but I don't put it on generational, but I just see folks in general, they kind of want the end result in this reality world, Instagram world, without putting the work in. Well, okay, let me say I'm cool with that. Well, okay, then just go do it then. Don't go do whatever form of what you think gets you somewhere. Just go do that rather than talk about it or mouth about it or something like that. Get to what they say. And here's the big thing I learned, because I follow a lot of folks. I learn from a lot of folks. If you look at my Instagram, it's more like my vision board. I follow people like Alex Hormozy and Gary Vaynerchuk and those guys because I need pumped up too. But my big thing is you adjust with iterations. Make the first step. The second step will be different from the first. The third will be different from the second. But adjust as you go. But if you don't get started doing something somehow, some way, you're going to take your last breath, lay your head down the last time, and your soul will be void of adventure, void of memories of life that you chose not to lead. And it breaks my heart that folks won't do that. And it's available to us. Life is available to us in the country we live in. Come on, man. You can do damn near anything you want to. And you can 10 times in one day. Okay, well, I tried that 10 times. I don't even want to do it. So I think people get caught up in the fact that it has to be perfect. And that's where we get stuck in school. And I'll back off on philosophy here in a minute. But if you notice, when we go to school, what do we get? We start with 100 and get marked down. Always reaching for perfection, always reaching for perfection. And perfection causes paralysis for us. How about we look for progress every day? Fuck perfection. Excuse my friends, but come on, man. Because we end up not doing anything because we didn't get it perfect before we started. And again, look at this. Is this perfect? I can tell you every flaw on my face. No problem. I can tell you that. So, and again, I still accomplished what I accomplished, and I'm still not done. So go get your shit, guys. Whoever's listening, go do your thing. Seriously.
And when I said back to, I love the business, I didn't mean to say that I'm not happy with what I'm doing, but I think as we tell people, you got to be real about this business. You're not going to do anything more difficult because, I always use the example, my brother's a doctor, which is a hard job, but you go to medical school and there's basically pretty much one right way to do a procedure. With us, you don't know what the director or the casting agents are looking for. And I can tell you with every on-camera audition, they say your name and height. And as soon as I hear them say your height, my heart sinks because I'm 6'4". And I know that I know that's not doing me any favors on these on-camera auditions. I've even gone to say I'm 6'3.5". It's like the difference is saying $20 in 1999.
Yeah. Andy, you look at it exactly like I did. If I would have put as much effort as I had in the 26, 27 years I've done this, I would have been a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, because you're right. There is a pathway generally for most of the things that are out there that are successful. There is no playbook or pathway. A BFA is not going to tell you how to make it in Hollywood. An MFA is not going to help you take in or on Broadway. But if you go to medical school and you go you do your residency and you listen to other doctors, not just textbook, you're probably going to be a pretty good doctor, surgeon, whatever it is. But this, it takes something special inside for you to keep going when you keep kicked in the mouth and punched in the throat, and the silent nose and stuff like that. If you don't have a decent support system around you, my wife is my queen. She's my rock. She's been with me 36 years. We're high school sweethearts, and most women would have left me chasing me and the stupid shit I decided to chase. But she understood the potential there. But yeah, it's, you see relationships fail, you see bankruptcies happen, you see foreclosures, you see cars repoed, you see evictions. These are some things that were on my list, by the way, that did happen, but it didn't kill me. I'm still here. I got evicted. Yes. 2 cars repossessed. Yes. I've been kicked in the mouth a lot, but the passion for my purpose was much greater every time I got kicked in the mouth. That's what caused me to get up. Nothing was going to stop me from trying to make something of what I was trying to do. Because I've had about 68 different jobs in my life. A lot of those before I became an actor, I had 3 jobs at one time, a lot of times doing different things. So I had tried a lot of life before I got to being an actor. So I knew when I started pursuing that, it was what I was supposed to be doing.
Gotcha. Well said.
Connor, real quick, can you take a look at the YouTube and see if we have any questions from our viewers?
No, we've been welcoming them to the room, but yeah, if you guys have questions, speak up. Yeah, right in the chat here. If you've got a question for Chris Warner, who's just got a laundry list of wonderful things that he's done, that's who we're talking with today. And Chris, I noticed you're wearing one of the original. Is that a Badass at original that you're wearing?
Oh, Badass original hat. Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah, that's the brand, if you will. The clothing brand is kind of in limbo at the moment. I rebranded when I started Badass Original. I had started with a clothing line about 5 years ago called My Life is War. And that actually idea had been in the boiler room for about 12 years because I'm an MMA fan, and I had decided to come up with my own clothing brand based on that. It took me about 12 years to find the right name. And that's what I came up with. And I launched it. To be honest with you guys, my 10th sale was in the red, and I shut it down because it wasn't going to be a hobby. It was going to be a legitimate business. And so it sat on the shelf for about 3 years until I started to brand myself as an actor. And badasses are what I play. That good side of bad, the bad side of good. That's what I do. And so it's rather than calling me the original Badass Original is something, again, I wanted to be original with. I want to be slightly different with the syntax there. And then as I started to call myself that, and that's what I played, that's what I decided to rebrand my clothing brand as. And to take a book out of the Master of Marketing, Dwayne Johnson's book, how he takes his Under Armour partnership and how the things he wears supports his spirit, right? The blood, things like that. So that's what I wanted to do with my clothing, because if I kept the clothing brand, the other brand, it was too separate, and I had to explain that separate from me. And from a marketing perspective, it got too convoluted. And this just kind of went together like a hand in a glove. So Badass Original, I play badasses. I want folks to realize what that is inside of them. Everybody's got a Badass Original inside of them. And all I would ask that they do is every morning they get up to ask themselves, how can I make that come forward today for me? So it's kind of a mission-driven brand, I call it. And right now we're kind of in the process still of converting over and making sure this happens. This is kind of a prototype hat, but I wear this out just to let everybody know who I am.
Yeah.
I don't have to open my mouth. I just wear some clothing, and again, it's sometimes it's a conversational piece as well. What's that mean? What does that stand for? Things like that. And
what it means is that it's time to badass up.
Yeah, there you go. Badass up. You're right. Absolutely. And I think everybody's got it inside of them. And for those who don't who won't embrace it. That's what I want to include it and create a community.
Mhm.
There's some coaches I work with, other business coaches I work with that have a brand called Art of Homage. They're out of Fort Worth, Texas. And if you guys get a chance, check those out. But I really enjoy learning from them and the way they build their community and their tribe,
Yeah.
grow their brand. Um, they're not salesy guys. They're people who have a mission, and they just want people who have the same mission. They want to bring them along, if that makes sense. So
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. You know, lead by example. The way you lead your life is the way you're encouraging others to lead their lives.
yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you
Tell us
do
about
voiceover work too, or just on camera?
I've done a little bit, but what's funny is it I'll be transparent with you guys. It for me, voiceover has been an extremely hard nut to crack. I took some coaching. I started coaching with Robin Armstrong. I don't know if you guys know who he is out in
Oh
Hollywood.
yeah. Yeah. Robin is terrific. He's a hell of a coach. He's a good guy.
So I started taking coaching with Robin and getting in there, and I'm friends with John Malone. I don't know if you know who he is. Um, and a couple other folks. And for whatever reason, I just things didn't pop off for me the way I don't say the way I thought, because I'm gonna represent or offer myself up to a new coach as kind of just a plain ball of clay, if you will. I'm not gonna say, hey, because I was an on camera actor, I can do this. I'm not gonna do that. But I
Yeah.
do see and listen. And once I started studying voiceover, watching commercials and things with a totally different eye and ear. I mean, it was crazy. And you
Yeah. It's different.
but understanding working with getting like initially my automotive demo reel done, because I feel like I could be a Ford F-150 guy, or
Hmm.
down and looking at my avatars. Hey, maybe I could be the voice of Carhartt or Harley Davidson, or understanding, what audience appealed to my voice, and how I appeal to that audience, and try to understand where I can market myself. But it's been a little harder than I'd have liked it to. So some
Mm.
of that I've backed off on because I'm doing other things, kind of like the business of helping folks on camera, the clothing business. But voiceover has always kind of been there. Actually, I'm looking right here at my closet that's enclosed completely, ready to go. And we need to record right there. So
Right. Your version of the whisper room, which we were just talking about before air, that, I've got students that are wanting to, there are people that I consulted, and Anthony does too. And I'm thinking of one particular story that Anthony and I both know of, an individual that had too much money and just thought that they could buy their way into the voiceover field. So they went out and bought, the $8,000 microphone and the $5,000 whisper room. And it's like none of that's needed. It's kind of like what you're saying. The key to it is unlike on-camera acting, a lot voiceover is not really getting into a character. It's just being yourself, speaking as you truly are.
Mhm.
If Anthony and I have always joked that we're going to write a book, and the title of it's going to be, I've always been told I've got a great voice. If I hear that, I hear that a million times a day. Guys tell me, I've always been told I've got the voice for radio. It's like, well, that probably tells you probably shouldn't get in voiceover, because that's not what they're looking for. They don't care about the voice. They care about the ability to storytell.
But in the short time I've gotten to know Chris, here's why I think he'd be very successful in voiceover. Because you are so real, man. You are so authentic.
Hmm.
And that's what they're looking for. Like every script that we get to audition for, no announcers, real guy.
Real
And
guy.
I think your personality for voiceover would come shining
Oh,
through, and be
totally. And
and because you don't put anything on. What you see is who you are, and what
right.
you
I
hear is
I
who
think
you
that if
are.
Carhartt, or if Chevy S10 or Ford, those people come looking, they're Carhartt's not looking for a guy that sounds like a bookkeeper or a CPA. They're looking for someone that sounds like Chris Warner.
yeah.
So if someone out there is from Carhartt, that Chris Warner, you can go to thechriswarner.com and you can get a hold of him. He's in Austin, by the way.
Yeah.
So he
One of
probably
the hardest
he probably wears the stuff for real anyway.
He does. Yeah.
Well, probably the most difficult thing about well, it's come on, it's hard. You can do 100 auditions and not book. Of course, that's part of
Mhm.
it. But
Sure.
Connor and I always joke how the technical side of running your own booth will aid you like nothing else, man.
Oh yeah. If you're
You'll
on
get
camera, it's their responsibility to make sure the camera is rolling. It's their
yeah,
responsibility to make sure that the microphone, the boom microphone is working. But with voiceover, unless I'm doing an in studio or in person recording session, it's my responsibility to make sure the computer is working. It's my responsibility to make
yeah.
sure there's no little noises in the wiring, or, that my acoustics are just perfect,
Yeah, I for 2 years when I was getting into voiceover, the equipment sat on my desk because I would just look at it and go, how the F am I ever going to learn how to do this? But you would know how to do it. I don't want to make it sound harder than it is, but with this technology, man, sometimes you'll get up in the morning or like, why can't I record? Well, Windows will have done an update overnight or whatever. I mean, it's
A
just, but
million things.
I
Yeah.
I I, don't, I know you're busy, but man, I'll tell you, just getting to know you in this 40 minutes, I think you would kill it with some of the types of spots you were mentioning.
Well, I appreciate that, guys. And no, you know what? I'm not a technical guy. My wife helps me a lot, but I about broke some shit when I was learning Adobe Audition. And by the time I got done, I can record something. I can get the clicks and pops out. I can tighten it up like a champ. Now, granted, don't I won't say it's broadcast ready, but it's definitely audition ready. But it damn near killed me, and that was that part of that frustration with the voiceover. I'm like, fuck this voiceover shit, man.
Oh, dude.
Breaking shit.
Oh, Connor and I have had some nervous breakdown conversations about
Yeah.
why is this not working? I mean, no, I hear you, man. That's a hard part about it. I was on the phone this morning at 7 a.m., Connor, with Source Connect because my port wasn't mapped again.
Right. Yeah. I know Source Connect is working on that. Their version 4 is coming out where you don't
Yeah.
need to have your port mapped. I've never, I can remember back in high school, I didn't want my map ported then, or my port matted. Anyway, I didn't want that shit then. I sure as fuck don't want it now.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
So, and then
I want to.
I was on the verge of working with Cliff Zellman to get the auto.
Oh, he's the auto
And
he's
I
the
coached.
auto demo
Yeah,
he's
I
the auto
coached
demo
it.
king.
But that was kind of where I was going to start. And so actually, I would ask you guys I mean, I trust Cliff completely, but that's kind of his direction as a coach prior is because I got to him through John Malone, and
Hmm.
I needed the cornerstone to start because what's on my I won't lie to you guys. What's on my voiceover page on my website, I actually recorded myself. Those are ones, those are somebody did a long time
Oh,
ago.
but you have to start somewhere, Chris. I mean, you got it in spades, brother, on IMDb.
Yeah.
So you have to start somewhere, and then once you start getting that trickle, then you can manage your demos with work that you've done, just as you have in real life with your on-camera acting. But Zellman, he's incredible. He's a really great guy, very
Oh,
brilliant. And
yeah.
with your delivery and personality, automotive would be right down your, you
Okay.
know, I work a lot with I've done different hot rod shows for the History Channel, and so the voice I use is nothing like this. I'm kind of a chameleon. I've never used this voice really for voiceover work, oddly enough. They always hire me to be someone else. They might come to me and say, "Can you do a Chris Warner type of voice?" And so now I'm going to have to start working on your voice, I
But
guess.
when you get some time, if you want to consult with us, I mean, yeah, Cliff Zellman, you can't go wrong with him. He's awesome.
Yep.
Here's the thing that I like about voiceover as opposed to on camera. There is so much voiceover work out there, both here and overseas. It's much more of a steady thing, at least for me, than the on camera is. I
Oh,
mean,
it is for me.
I could do 20, I could do 25 voiceover auditions in a day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
yeah,
there's
I
more of
totally.
it.
I haven't done on camera in years, Chris. Again, I've referenced my looks, but my voice, I can sound like anything.
Gosh, because I can be Elroy Jetson. G-pop. Huh, I wonder if Astro is going to play.
You could, if they saw the way I look, they wouldn't think this guy, there's no way that he can do the voice, or, he can't be young, he can't be old or whatever. But like today, I had so many recording sessions that if I was living in LA, I wouldn't have been able to drive to them all. I would have been able to drive to one and record. And by the time I was done in the heat, I need to stop at Jack in the Box and go home. That's what the hell am I doing? So Zoom has created or helped us with this new age of voiceover. So I encourage you to stay on, man. I'm like Anthony and Bo. I love your personality, and you are so dynamic with your on-camera roles, and just so dynamic with your true personality. Like you say, those are not really parts you play; those are just aspects of you. And you bring that to voiceover. Yeah, you're going to be a triple threat, man. Triple threat. Do you sing? God, let's hope to God you don't sing. Do you sing?
Hey man, I've sang to the radio since I was a wee toddler. But
Oh my gosh.
as far as but here's the thing, I do have a project it's on the burner, and I haven't released this to the public. I'll tell you guys right now. So I've had this want to play Bocephus. I want to play Hank Williams Jr.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And here's how I'm going to do that, because I create my own fires. Like I said earlier, I've written a short, about 5 minutes short, and we're going to start with him at the bottom of the mountain after he fell off the mountain.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Blood on the snow. He's moaning. We're going to do kind of a quick montage of him going through rehab and trying to learn how to walk and talk again. And then we're going to end with him on stage on the spotlight. And then I'm going to sing a Country Boy Can't Survive. And I'm going to learn to play the guitar, which is right behind me here. And I'm going to start taking voice lessons so I can control my voice. I understand I'm not going to be Pavarotti, etc., but I know we can learn to control the voice that we have, and we can with that voice. So I'm going to learn to sing that song like him, and that's going to be a short I make as a proof of concept, and hopefully it comes by him. But that is one thing I do want to do, is to start singing lessons, just to be able to control my voice better, even like in voiceover, if things should take off, and I can sing my voice if I need to, and things like that. You guys know about that stuff, but
we haven't touched on it, and I want to. Tell us about Assassin's Guild of America.
Oh, okay. So me and my writing partner, the guy I told you about wanting to stop and kind of build our own fire. You guys know about Quibi, all right? That Katzenberg started and it fell apart. Short form content's what he wanted to start. COVID got the best of him, I feel like that. And then Roku bought his library, bought the library, and then they put it on their platform. And then they obviously believed enough into it, because they actually funded a second season of Kevin Hart's show, Die Hard. So I watched Die Hard, and I watched the Liam Hemsworth, I forget, it's like a ticking clock time of show, dramatic show. This works. Short form and dramatic on the dramatic platform works. It does, and we're moving to the phone and things like that. And I love the theater, but hey, you got to embrace what's moving forward, right? So me and my are like, hey man, let's quit chasing everything with everybody. Let's get good at this, and then let's go around and pitch what we've got to people who don't have these platforms. You could take what we have from a short form series, and we're going to shoot 3 episodes of this one show called Assassin's Guild of America. And the first episode went to festivals, won some awards. We've got the second one in the can. It's in post right now. We've got the third one written. We'll write or shoot after my buddy gets out of school. He's getting his master's degree right now at the New York Film Academy.
Wow.
The point being is, we want to have skin in the game, so we prove to studios these guys aren't dicking around. Hey, it's our money. We produced it. We went from seed to plate, so to speak. This is our concept. What we also want to embrace is the short form content. We want to show that it's going to work. So what we're going to do is come to them and say, hey, what do you think of this? Hey, do you guys have a short form content department? Well, just like 10 years ago, when people went, hey, do you have a streaming department? People like Disney and Warner's went, what are you talking about? Laugh. Yeah. And now Netflix is more valuable than Disney. Their market cap is higher. So we go in and say, hey, do you have a short form content department? And they're like, no. Well, why don't you let us start it? Give us $1 million per series, 8 to 10 episodes. Give us 3 series, and let us do what we do. And if it doesn't work, you got to write that $3 million off anyway. Give us $1 million. Let us do 1 series. This is what we've done already. So that's what we're looking to push forward with our narrative content, is working the short form side of things, because we feel like that's a space that nobody's embracing like they should. In 5 years from now, everybody will be embracing it like streaming did 10 years ago. So Assassin Guild America is the name of the first series that we came up with. It's basically kind of John Wick with a dark edge to it.
Oh wow.
So we break the fourth wall. The concept came from, again, John Wick. The main character that I play, his name is Jack Candle. So you can see a hat tip there. But basically what happens is about 4 years ago, we at SAG got a letter. You guys might have got the same one that says, hey, they didn't use the word misappropriate, but we used some funds that we're $44 million in the hole. We're going to do this and cut that. And now this is the big one that messed with me a little bit, was now retired folks have to have new money to qualify. I'm like, well, what's the word retired mean? I don't.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it made me not happy, guys. It made me really not happy. And
Yeah.
I don't have the leverage to go run for president of SAG right now, but I am a storyteller. So I wrote a story about it. And the story goes like this. There's a guild for assassins, and they have a new CEO who comes in, and he wants to clean things up, and he comes from the corporate world. So one way to do that is anybody utilizing benefits gets terminated, and I mean terminated. So my character, who's their best assassin and the best assassin in the world, has a knee injury. So they send somebody to take care of him, and the shit don't work. And now, who's on that list? Nobody knows who's on the list. Are they friends? Do they get together? Do enemies become friends now to go after the common enemy? So this is where the show can go.
Wow.
And then again, it has a John Wick kind of meets Grosse Point Blank mix.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be on the lighter side, but violent, no doubt about it. And that's just one of the stories that we have, but we're leading with that one because we feel like, again, I'm speaking to the demographic. I can sit for days and talk to execs about demographics, and they can argue with me if they want to, but I know they exist because I talk to them. I talk to the fans who want what we're selling.
Amen.
Yeah.
So that's what we're good at. We really want to embrace the short form content. Another caveat, and I'll shut up here. What you can do, and what they did do with that, is you have an 8 to 10 episode series. You cut them together and you have a feature, and you don't make them exclusively. You can license the feature to Paramount and the series to Max. So you got two products in one right there. So
yeah, and that's, like you said, that's the new format, is that way of thinking, as opposed to, just a minute 40 or an hour 40 film, just doing these small feature, kind of like Telemundo's been doing for years, these novellas. Netflix kind of took that and ran a long time ago, and like you say, now their net worth is more.
Yeah, the market cap is higher than Disney. Yep.
Yep.
Are you going to use your agent in LA to try to help you get it out, or are you going to be marketing yourself?
Well, we're probably going to we're marketing ourselves right now. And then my buddy's making a hell of a lot of contacts in school, because he's talking to producers and execs all the time. They're coming in and they're doing guest teachings and things like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm only repped by my talent agent as on camera. So I've her with scripts, and she's not into that. I would need to get a literary agent for that. And to tell you the truth, man, when COVID happened, we couldn't act, right? So I pulled a couple of features I'd written a long time ago off the shelf, did some rewrites, wrote 2 new features, wrote a 1 series, and then I started pitching during COVID over Zoom. And I just came to find that if I can find a way to get in front of executives without an additional middleman. Now, granted, would I need an agent to negotiate that? Not necessarily, as long as I have an entertainment attorney. I wouldn't need the agent. But I don't want any more people in front of me right now in my career than I need. And I'm not saying I know more than they do. It's just, look, man, if you ain't behind me pushing me, then you need to get the fuck out of my way. And I say that respectfully.
Right.
Even if you say you're on my team and you're pumping our brakes, I'm done with that. That's for sure. So I guess to answer your question, we're definitely going after things on our own, outreach on our own, DMing, emails, phone calls, connections. Hey, man, do you know somebody who might be interested in this? pretty much any way you can outreach and market. I'm open to. I'm not afraid to do any of that. So
That's right.
Now, I
Yeah.
know your plate is full, but I've thought of another project for you. You ready?
yeah.
It's a book called Build Your Own, and then on the cover is a raging inferno. So build your own fire, a book.
There you go. Build your own fire.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
your
Feed your
saying,
own
right?
fire. Yeah. Yeah.
People love those type of self-help books, man.
They do. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. You never know where you're going to find inspiration. That's why I'm always listening. I'm always watching.
Yeah.
I found inspiration through you, brother. That's why I keep liking and following those posts. It's been a pleasure having you on again.
Yeah.
It's our third time together. I'm glad that you were able to meet Anthony and Connor this time
Yeah.
around. Guess
I'd
have
love
some
to.
similar
We'd love to
backgrounds.
work with you on something, man. You'd be fun to work with.
No, absolutely, guys. Maybe we can reach out online or offline. I mean, over socials or whatever, and definitely would like to connect with you guys. Talk maybe a little more about VO and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a pleasure to meet all you guys.
Yeah,
Definitely.
man. Love to.
Absolutely. Yep.
Bo, this is a great guest, man. Love it.
I knew you guys would connect, didn't I say
Yeah.
that, Anthony?
Yeah,
You did. Yeah. Grand
yeah,
slam.
yeah,
Grand
yeah.
slam, Chris.
All right. Well, we'd like to leave our listeners with either a memory, something that was like your proudest moment, something that touched you, or a bit of insight. You get to pick.
Proudest moment. So here's one of my biggest, probably my biggest. I call them my Hollywood moments in general. But when I booked No Country for Old Men, I was hired as an LA talent. So they flew me out to El Paso, Texas, and then a Teamster picked me up and drove me for 3.5 hours to Marfa. That's where we shot our stuff for No Country. So picked me up, drove me there, flew back, and then when I got back, I come down the escalators at LAX, and there's a guy standing there with a chauffeur with my name. And so I walk over and say, "Hey, I'm Chris Warner," and a lady who's kind of coordinating that says, "Hang on a second." And I guess there was someone else maybe to come along. I guess not. She said, "You're the only one." I go, "Yeah, I guess. I don't know." So we walk out and there's a stretch limo waiting for me, right? So a town car had taken me to the airport. Stretch limo was waiting on me. I'm like, okay, cool. This is nice. So I get in the back of the stretch. And in LA, if you live in Hollywood proper, there's a particular route that the drivers take to LAX. And it's a back road down La Brea and La Tijera. And that's the way they go, right? Well, for whatever reason, this guy gets on the 105 to the 110 to the 101 to Hollywood. I don't know why he did it, but he did. So we're riding in there, and I'm on the phone with my wife, and I'm like, "Hey, check this out." I'm riding the limo back to the apartment. She goes, "Cool." So I get a little emotional here, guys. I'll talk about this. So we're coming up the 101. I look out the window, and I see the Hollywood sign. So basically, I'm riding home from a plane flight in the back of a limo, looking at the Hollywood sign from a movie that ends up winning the Academy Award. So those are one of those moments I got to put in my back pocket for all those no's that I don't hear.
I
Amen.
love it, man.
So,
That's
man,
right, man.
I
No one can take that away from you.
No, sir, they can't. That's my quintessential Hollywood success, man, and I love it. And I have to lean on it every once in a while, but I'll never forget that moment. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Thanks for
man.
sharing that. That's great.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep. And another episode of From Hollywood to the Heartland. We've hit our 20,000 subscriber. Hopefully by next week we'll be at 25. We have a special promo that we're going to be releasing for that. So make sure you guys take a look out for that. Chris, it's been a pleasure, man. It's
Yes.
always a pleasure. And each time I talk to you, the nuggets of stuff just seem to fall. So I'm glad that we got to capture this once again.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. Absolutely, man. It's always fun to talk Hollywood and movies. Absolutely. Anytime I can do that, I just won't shut up, as you can tell.
We're glad.
Absolutely.